Morning, everybody. Today is Friday, June 14th, about 5:15-ish a.m. Pacific time, and this is webinar number 70. So Glenn's going to continue with his Imagine the Possibilities with WinDev number 4. So take it away. After this, Andy will come on and we'll stop the recording.
Scare the hell out of everybody.
Yeah, scare us. The word complex is the key word there.
And some people feel that's a foreign term for me, but
I'm well known to that term.
Okay, there you go.
Okay, well, good morning, everyone. And I'm going back and revisiting control templates to a small extent. And actually, what I had planned on showing you with that would make a really short demo this morning, so I do have a few other things to show you. But going back and revisiting control templates, we know what they're used for is we can have groups of controls or a single control that we want to reuse the functionality on other forms. And just going back way to the beginning, even before a control template, if I wanted to have a validate button that I wanted to use on multiple forms, and then I would have traditional code, in its simplest form, I would do an h-add or an h-modify, and I would have my error trapping, and I would do whatever I need to do. Well, I got tired of writing that time after time. Could have put it in a code brick, could have put it in a class like Andy's been showing. I chose to do it in a control template. And so what I ended up doing was, let's go over here. Look at that. Here is my control template. And let's open the template. We'll look at the code. And what I did is I took that code and I actually have now changed it from the last time we had our example to something really, really generic. But what I've done, so my code is in a procedure here for screen to file in that line. My h-add is in this procedure. My h-modify is in this procedure, and my return value is here. And so you're wondering, well, why did I break those into procedures since it's really rather simple code? Well, what I wanted to do was give us the possibility of overriding that particular functionality for the h-add or the h-modify. But I also wanted to give us what I will call virtual embeds or virtual procedures. So in the control template, I wanted to be able to give you access to some code that you could write yourself before there's a screen to file, or when there's after the screen to file, or before an h-add or after an h-add. So let's see how that's actually looking here. In fact, if you look down at the bottom here, I just certainly made a mistake there. All these down below here are my procedures for this control template. Okay. So now we'll close this. We'll go back here. Don't need to update that. Okay. So now if I actually look at the button or the control template, you will see all my virtual embeds down here again. That now at this point I can override those, I can enhance them, I can actually put in additional code. So let's just run this and we'll just do a simple update. And say okay. And you say, well, what's the big deal there? Well, the big deal with that control template, as far as I'm looking at it, are two things. One, for me to implement that control template, it takes one line of code. And I just have to tell it the table that I'm going to be using for my add or my modifies. So one line of code and I'm done. The other thing that's really cool, and this is what today was about, is now if I want to actually go in and override this, and I want to override it for the h-add after. It's not unusual that if we save a parent record, we want to know what the primary key is to the parent record so we can now save children records. Well, over here it's simple enough. Down here at the bottom, if we do a select a procedure, we do a right mouse click, we can just do overload the code of the procedure. Okay, So I actually have one already done. So let's go in here, the HAdd after. I just said, show me the primary key of people. Okay, and so you could actually put another HAdd in here and you could start adding your children records or whatever you need to do. So let's run this.
So Glenn?
From here. Yes.
So that before is kind of like before the parent and after is like after the parent type of, like in Clarion.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Wow, that's great.
Mm-hmm. And in fact, well, in fact, it's really whatever you want it to be, because I chose to create those procedures in my control template itself. So I just decided, yeah, I need something before an HAdd and I need something after an HAdd. And yes, I was thinking of the Clarion paradigm in doing that. So let's add a record, 111, 2, say okay. And actually, I'm on the wrong, that's why it didn't work. I'm on the wrong procedure here. Okay, let's run this again. And let's do new, and let's do 111, 222. And there we go. There is my procedure that I just overrode, or actually put code in there that said, when I'm finished doing my HAdd, run this procedure with whatever code I put in here. So I think that is really powerful. And if we go back and look at all the procedures that we have in here, you can see I named them according to the button. So on a cancel, I can do it at beginning and an end. And my OK, I can do at the beginning and I do at the end. And I do the actual HAdd. So if I override that, overload the code of the procedure, back in there. Now if I do F2, here is the code that I'm highlighting that comes from my control template, just for the HAdd. So at this point, I could comment out execute ancestor and that code wouldn't even run. Or I'll leave it run and I could put my own code right before that, and I could put my own code after that.
Oh, that's fantastic.
And that actually, it really is cool. And then I figure, oh, well, I don't necessarily want to go into the HAdd, so that's why I created the HAdd before and HAdd after. So that's just, that was just my thought on extending these.
Well, what I don't understand is, okay, you have the OK HAdd where you are now, and you went before and after the execute ancestor. So how different is that to the other two things, the after and before? I mean, where does the code?
It's not. Yeah. No, it's not. And the reason I chose to do it that way is in case somebody didn't want to go just into here and do that. They just want to, in here they just,
Oh, gotcha.
Yeah, I mean, it does the exact same thing, and so it's just use whatever one you want. And you know, when you're creating your control template, let's go and look at that. Let's do a open the template. Go back to this button. You know, you're free to make whatever procedures you want wherever you want them, right? And they're going to be down here, and then you just call it from your code or override it in your code. So I mean, there's nothing difficult about this at all. It's just thinking, oh yeah, this is available to us in a control template, and we can overwrite any of that control. So this is kind of, I'm going to say from my standpoint, this is kind of like a class, this control template, because when we use it on an individual page or a window, we are now instantiating that class on that window, and then we can override any of these methods that we have.
Yeah, it's a class. Is a class with virtual methods. Yeah, that's fantastic. I love that.
But yeah, that's just my take on it. So
it's
interesting, you know, some of my.
Can you show one of the methods how it's defined? Like the OK?
Oh, yeah, it's just.
I was.
Sure, right.
Had a cell phone call.
Let's do. Oh, okay. Let's go here because I already have that.
So
it's just, you know, it's just a procedure.
It's just a procedure. No, you don't have to put virtual or anything in there. Is what I'm saying.
No, and the only reason I'm saying it's virtual is because by the time we get over to, let's close this. By the time we get over here, close this, we now have these procedures for us. And they don't
okay.
Let's loosely use the term virtual.
Okay.
Yeah, it's like a Clarion embed.
Okay.
So Clarion embed is like a virtual method.
Well, it's been so long since I've done Clarion, I forgot what embeds look like.
Yeah. now, if I could just figure out how to do omit and end omit, so I can jump from lines of code or block them out, but that doesn't look like it's possible, at least right now.
Compile.
Yeah,
that doesn't help much.
Well, because it doesn't here. But that's why we actually can just take the procedure itself, the HAdd, and then just comment out execute ancestor. So kind of does the same thing.
Yeah, you can.
Depends how.
Yeah. Well, you want to make sure that if you're running a virtual, that whatever code you have in the virtual is generic enough that it can be used in 99% of the area, and then you can always remark out the execute ancestor and override everything if you need to.
That's it exactly. Yeah. Yep. Anybody else have questions on this?
Yeah, I can open.
I mean,
you can type in, or I can open up Mike. Oh, by the way, I see that we have Mark from.
We have a guest.
CSOF here.
Yes, we have a guest.
Yeah, so I can enable his mic and Pete's, and I don't know who else. Raise your hand up if you want your mic open.
Do you have one question? Is is there actually an omit? Is there a way to omit code, conditional omit code? That would be interesting. That would be a nice feature.
Right, I agree with that. And not only omit it there, but have it go from, if it starts in one procedure, like how I've got those 3 in my control template. If I could have started in one and ended in another, and everything in between.
Well, yeah.
Like we did.
Actually, I'd still want 3 different procedures. And I mean, because I've been through this enough times, I really. I understand where you're going. Is kind of like inserting code is what you're trying to do. You're trying to say in this area here, I want to overload this section of code, and I understand that. But I'd still want 3 different procedures, personally.
And that's why, and that's why I've actually opened it up, coded it this way, if I'm understanding it properly. So I've got my different procedures, and that way I can actually at the window itself, I can choose to use any of these embeds.
Right.
And if I want to omit this, I just comment that one out in the window.
Now,
for the execute.
What would be cool is an execute pre-ancestor.
Yeah.
Well, you can still do that. You can. Here's the deal. Well, you can go code before and after. Just put the code above execute ancestor.
Exactly. So because when we go to that window. And this is what Arnold was asking or mentioning when we look at this. If we override the HAdd, or we put code in before or after, right? That's
You're doing
the exact same thing.
As your before and after, yeah. You're doing exactly the same thing.
Exactly. I've just done it 2 different ways here.
No, it's absolutely.
Yeah, but I don't want to lose. I don't want to lose the point of we need. Is it loud?
Yeah.
Let me run through the.
All
right. Let me run through the settings.
That left eardrum is gone now.
Yeah. So I turned the mics on for everybody. So if you want to talk, you can, or you can type below in the chat. The way you need to do connecting to the mic is you click on the mic up above and run through the wizard.
Yeah, you can join into the conversation anytime when we get to run. Yeah, that's better. That's better.
And when you're not talking, make sure you click on that microphone again to just mute yourself temporarily.
Glenn,
all right.
I like the
what I.
Chris.
Yeah, I like the way.
Were you saying something?
Yeah, I was gonna.
Okay, go ahead.
The having that before and after methods surrounding your H ad helps
Yeah.
helps the developer encapsulate the things that happen before the ad without screwing around or overloading the actual ad. So you know that's safe. You know your ad is safe. You haven't
Exactly.
screwed around with it. So if you're looking for something that's happened before, the way you set it up here just makes it really easy to get to the part that you want to work on. You know where it is, and you can pass it
Right.
extra parameters that the ad wouldn't normally have. You know, you could
Right.
set that up
And right.
to give it some parameters.
Sure. Exactly. And because actually, if we look at this H ad already has a parameter coming in, so you could code that any way that we wanted. So yes, we could pass those back and forth. And that was the exact reason why I created it this way, is because let's go. I just hate when you do that. When you go back and look at this tree, I can tell if I would overload the H ad, then just by looking at the icon to the left, you can tell exactly which code has been overloaded. And like you said, it would surround the H ad before and after.
Since the H ad is the critical part, I'd rather not overload that. Leave that the way it is, and then put my extra code in other places.
Well,
right, and the reason I did put it there still is because then we could comment out execute ancestor and totally write a brand new one.
Yeah, you can still do that. Absolutely.
Exactly. Yep.
Nice.
Okay, what I wanted to say was I don't want to lose the fact of where we had started mentioning the omit compiler directive. We really need that, especially when you're talking about classes, like with our error handling class. Our problem is if we reference that class inside another class, and someone wants to just use our class without using the error handling class, we have no way to do any kind of conditional compile statement that says if they don't have the error handling class, don't compile this code. So you wind up either having to modify the class or include the include the error handling class to get the thing to compile, because there's no way, if there's an error in class code, you cannot run your app. You can't ignore the errors, nothing. So we really need that omit compiler directive.
Yeah, it would be nice for a lot of areas, not this one particularly, but in class development and class management code, it would be nice to have. Sure, it would be.
Pete, have you requested that to PC Soft?
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, it would be
recently.
Yeah, that one is that is probably the highest one on my wish list.
Okay. What scared me about what Glenn was describing was starting an omit in one method and ending it in another one.
Oh no, I wouldn't want to do that. No.
That's a little. I have code from a client of mine who writes that way in Clarion, and he would put omit in one embed and then end the omit in another embed in a totally different procedure.
I've had to do that myself, but I don't like doing it.
Well, exactly. There's times that
Yeah.
But there were times that it had to be done using the templates that we had in Clarion.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well.
Yeah.
I like this, Glenn. This is neat.
Thanks. This is just another take on something. And as I was starting to say before, some of my best, at least the ones that I think are the best, come from people having questions or wanting something done. So if any of you guys are looking for how to do something, even just to get it started, I just love starting with these things because...
What variable
this is the segue.
I'm sorry, go ahead. Finish up.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
I'll finish up and then I'll jump in.
Okay. Because we're just thinking I lost my train of thought there. Oh no, how I got my examples when people request things. It doesn't take much to get me off track here.
Squirrel.
I'm thinking about yeah, there you go.
Hey, I'll just mute Andy while you're having your thought go.
Well, yesterday on the Skype chat, somebody was asking Andy how you do tagging in a table. And so he proceeded to tell them, yeah, I mean, it's not difficult. And so he told them, and I think it was a really good explanation. I'm thinking, man, that would be a good example in my training examples here. So that's the segue to the next example to show you how to do tagging if there are not any other questions or comments on control templates.
So I really should only have 2 words when somebody asks me how to do something. Wait 3 days and ask Glenn.
Okay. I'm thinking, no, you start off so I can see, what did he say? Okay, I can do that.
What you do, Andy, is you explain it and then say, wait 3 days and Glenn will have an example for you.
There you go. That's true. That's what I need to do.
That's why I better stay on Skype all the time so I can see Andy's answers.
So are you you're gonna give us some more goodies here, huh?
Yes.
Yeah.
I do. I have. And we can do this rather quickly, but I'll go to my how-to, and as you can tell, these are all the training examples. But I have the table with tagging, and so let me just get it running here. So I've tagged 2 records. I say show my tagged records, show my untagged records, and flip my records. So all the ones that were tagged are now untagged and vice versa. Okay. To implement that is just so simple. Let's go down to the how-to, go down to the tagging here. We set the table up with a checkbox, and it's not linked to anything. It is also, let's go to the table. It is also all the records are loaded in memory. And then you just go through and you click the checkbox in each one of those. And then to show the tagged records, this is all that we have to do. We're just going to cycle through for each row of table. And if the tag is false, then I'm going to hide that row right here. Otherwise, if it's true, right, I'm going to make it visible. Okay. And then to show the untagged, I do the exact same thing, but the opposite way, right?
Mm-hmm.
I hide in invisible. And then over here on the tag records, I cycle through the records again, and I just flip it. If it's true, I make it false. If it's false, I make it true. Which is
the not
just this line
not.
Right here. Yeah. Yep. Yeah. So I don't even have to do double checking.
That's just slicker. It's not on glass doorknob.
It works nice, and without having to have any third.
Just love your example. Oh. All in one place.
Okay. Oh yeah, hopefully. And here, one more, and then I'll give you a little tease for the next time we get together.
Oh, maybe.
Let's go to how-to. Let's look at table with conditional icons and how simple it is to do this. Let's look at that. And there's multiple ways of doing this. I chose to do it my simple way because I prefer simple. Yeah. I have 2 icons here, so I store them here. I don't even go out to my disk and find what icon, and grab it and put it in there. I just put it on here. Truly, I could go out. I could have 10 icons or 100 icons, and I could just reference them and say, here's the folder I keep them in. Just grab it, and I will use that icon based on a condition.
Glenn, I'm glad you just volunteered.
Okay.
You volunteered.
What did I volunteer?
You volunteered to help me put the icons in the emoticons in the chat rooms, in the chatter box.
Okay. I never heard those words come out of my mouth, but that's amazing.
Hey, it's amazing. It's recorded now, so you know it's done.
I knew we should have stopped the recording before he got to that.
Yeah. Here's how I do it, and I'm just checking to see for every other row, so I use modulo. But it would be whatever condition you want it to be to populate your icons, and I just do this: col image equals my one image, or it equals the minus image, or it equals the plus image.
Cool.
And that's it.
Yeah.
Alrighty.
Okay, here's the tease for the next time we get together.
And that's because he really didn't have this finished yet. So.
Hey, Glenn.
Yeah.
Colton has a question in the chat.
Okay.
It's,
yes.
Can you read it, or shall I read it to you?
Let me put my glasses on. Let's see.
Basically,
you better read it.
Basically, it says that example of icons hidden on the page and is used as needed. Can you extend this with other media types like video?
I guess it would depend on the column that you've got on your table.
Boy, that'd be a lot of videos if you had one per.
Oh, I don't know if you're looking to link
that
to a video to play. You know, so you know that it comes up with a little video icon. When they click it, it goes plays a certain video. Yeah, I don't know that I put the whole video in the screen in the table, but you know,
right, just the link.
Just the link. And when they click it, then you can run the video in that area for sure.
Right. Actually, that's what I do with my training at the training site. If any of you have gone there and viewed the videos that I have in there, because all those videos are in a looper, they're all conditionally put in the links. So yeah, you're not seeing them, but the link changes, because you're right that you'd have a lot of videos in there.
Yeah.
And really, you'd only want to be seeing it. I mean, launching it, you wouldn't want to be seeing it in each, right?
Well, I think that what he's trying to do is show like the first, you know, the initial part of the image or initial part of the video or something like that. Have it like they do on YouTube, where you kind of see it with a little arrow thumbnail type thing, and that's probably
right.
Probably closer to what he's looking for.
Okay.
All right.
Okay. Here's the tease, and somebody had asked me for doing a pick list, so they can still do add, change, deletes, and they like using combo boxes for their pick list, but it didn't give them that that searching capability and whatnot. So what I thought of is I have a combo box here, and I actually have it just called another form.
Yep.
And I can do all my records. I can then sort them. I can do a find. I can do all my maintenance from down below. I can select a record and then do select and populate this record back here. So that was my first take on what's the possible use of using that combo box to display another form. And in this instance, it makes sense to me, possibly.
Good, and we're used to that too. So that's a neat way of doing that.
So next time I'll go through the code of how we bring it back. But I mean, it's so simple; it's just unbelievable. You know, one line of code for each record here. Sure, other ways of doing it, but yep, we can do that
next time.
And then in other times, future sessions, we can go through some of these and look at other things that we have.
Very good.
Yep, but that's mine for today.
Okay, great. Thanks so much. I'm going to stop the recording, and then we'll get it back so Andy can have his.
I got one thing to say before you stop the recording on him.
You bet.
This is the reason why, if you're not already gone to Glenn's training classes, that the upcoming boot camp is important. These things that he does between DevCons is what you can get boned up on and work with if you haven't done it before you go to his classes, because he goes through this. So he's a constant flow of information, which is great, and he has the time and the effort and the ability not to get overwhelmed, to continue to research these things and put them in his areas here. That certainly helps out the community. So I appreciate it, Glenn, really.
I appreciate your comments. That was very kind.
Your growing training examples are great. It's not a static thing. It's a dynamically growing thing. So we appreciate it.
Good.
Okay,
Thank you.
I'm going to stop the recording now.